Hi everyone. Here we are once again. New month, new beginning, and new topic. So this time, because very recently JP Morgan has been concluded, so we have chosen JP Morgan, to talk about. But we have this time we have done two new things. This time, one, we have combined two topics, JP Morgan and China Biotech. We've combined two topics basically together, and we'll tell you the reason also in the later slides. And another new change is that we're experimenting that now two people from my team, will be presenting the Insights Corner. And this month, the maker or the person who's behind this deck or this analysis is with me, Prashant Sharma. So Prashant is our biotech analyst, and the whole team has worked on it, but Prashant is the one who has led this JPM and China Biotech topic. So with me is Prashant. Prashant, welcome.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Himanshu, for welcoming me. So, like Himanshu mentioned, we'll be presenting together this China Biotech tech, and we'll give you insights about it.
Yeah. So thank you, Prashant. So let's start with that. How we have structured it, this deck is that, first we'll talk about JPM 2026. We have few slides about it. Then the reason, in couple of slides, Prashant and me will try to explain you the reasons why we thought that bringing together China Biotech and JPM it was a sane decision. And then third, that how China Biotech is shaping up the global pharmaceutical industry. And lastly, a few summary points basically from or key takeaways from our side basically. So moving ahead, as we did last time, these are our past issues basically. So anyone who gets the access of this deck will get access to these past slides also from our side. So yeah, so make the use of it, and you can access all the previous analysis from our side basically. Moving ahead. So now talking about JPM 2026, Prashant is going to start and talk about key insights, and I'll try to chip in between. Over to you,
Okay,
Prashant.
thank you, Himanshu. So, before moving forward, we'll talk about the JPM, what was happened in the JPM 2026. So, we have structured the 5 points in this slide, which are the standout moments for the JPM 2026. So, as in first point, it was like at JPM 2026, 24 Chinese companies were on stage. It was the first time that huge Chinese companies were presented in the JPM 2026, and they included the broad section of the therapeutic areas like oncology, metabolic disease, and cell gene therapy, emerging a key focus themes on global partners such as Remgen and AbbVie. So they have discussed the Remgen and AbbVie RC148 asset in metabolic disease, and the Hanshaw company, they have presented GLP-1 and GIP asset of olitropeptide, which was partnered with Rinjon. So it was the first insight in the JPM standout moment. And the second one, if we talk about the ADCs, so in JPM 2026, there was huge story about the ADCs. So we have mentioned as a second point for the ADCs. So ADCs were the major focus at JPM 2026, like Hengrui, Cleon, or Cytomex X. So there are multiple companies who presented their data and who talked about the ADCs in the JPM 2026. If now moving forward, so there was a another story about the CAR-T. So it was a less broad. in JPM 2026, they few companies only talk about the CAR-Ts, but it is a huge platform, and the future is all about the CAR-Ts. So definitely, Chinese companies are working on CAR-Ts, and multiple global companies are working on different CAR-T therapies. If we talk about Kevrana, so it was a next frontier for the CAR-T growth, autoimmune disease. It is working on an asset KYV101, and it has come under the near approval for the person syndrome, which is a very significant unmet need for the market. So at JPM 2026, weight loss drugs was stayed at a top story. So there was a focus on who has won or whose works best at longest in the JPM 2026. So as we know about the major player of like GAP and GLP-1 are Novo and Eli Lilly. So we have mentioned one example as a Novo backing a Kagi Sigma, which is currently being reviewed by the FDA and Wave Life Science for the obesity treatment. And the frequency will be the once or a twice a year, which is a very, if we talk about it, is a very important or a major point. If a person is receiving a once or a twice a year drug, so it will be beneficial for the patient. So if we talk about bispecific another modality which is a huge platform, which has a huge platform in JPM 2026. So bispecific antibodies have clearly moved from early experiments to real products and late stage oncology trials. Specifically, drugs hit PD-L1 and PD-L1 plus VEGF engage T cells by CD3 modulate the immune system in new ways, such as Summit Therapeutics. Summit Therapeutics being tested had to hit against standard Keytruda-based regimen in lung cancer with its asset Venosumab. Himanshu, do you want to highlight some points in
Sure.
this slide?
Okay, so thank you so much, Prashant. And okay, so as Prashant said, I'll be very quick because Prashant has explained the slide pretty well. To my standpoint, one very important thing was that for the first point, 24 Chinese companies. So out of 500 and something total overall companies who presented at JPM, it constitutes 5%. So 5% looks like a small number at the moment, but considering and comparing it with previous years, it is a significant increase. The reason is because Chinese companies never used to present or be present at JPM. So that's one very important thing. Then apart from that, the whole JPM, in a summary, whole JPM was revolving around two, 3 points, which we have covered. One was obesity, then CAR-Ts, ADCs, and bispecifics. Those were the talk of the towns beyond deals, obviously. Beyond deals, those were the talk of the towns. And means we have taken a couple of examples that KYN101 is a very important example. The reason is it's going to be the first CAR-T in the autoimmune space. So that's one very important thing because so far we have seen CAR-T is getting approved in oncology and majorly in hematology. But beyond oncology, this is going to be a one major breakthrough. So obviously that's that. Now talking about Wave Life Sciences molecule, as Prashant has already mentioned that it's a once or twice a year formulation or a dosage basically. So why it is important? The reason is because it increases the patient adherence. And obviously, if it proves out to be that this is effective, this is going to be a major thing and going to definitely change the landscape. There are a couple of other companies in obesity, which we discussed about them in our previous insights corners in the GLP and the and the obesity landscapes. So you can refer to them. Then another one another you know um, show stealer was T cell engagers, which were also discussed very extensively across the JP Morgan. Obviously, the as I said, show stole by was stolen by ADCs, cards, and the obesity. But yeah, T cell engagers were also very important. So thank you, Prashant. Moving on. So
So these are the some major highlights we have covered from the JPM 2026. We have covered these highlights by the like company names, by the company names, the company presented on JPM, and they have present and they role as a major highlights in the JPM 2026. So if we start with the Roche. So Roche plans to maintain strong growth through its 17 top-selling medicines across multiple therapeutic areas while advancing up to 19 new drugs expected, and they are expected to launch it in 2030 with regulatory filings up to 3 new medicines planned for 2026. So they have planned 19 new drugs launched in 2030, and the new medicines 3 new medicines are in 2026. And if we talk about Wave Life Sciences, they have positioned WVE-007 as a differentiated obesity treatment focus, as we talked about in the prior slide, treatment focus on a fat loss with muscle prevention stresses potential, which will be once or a twice yearly dosing with fat loss like GLP-1 at 3 months. Look forward for Sanofi. Sanofi anticipates a wave of regulatory decisions, and it submitted phase 2 by 3 clinical trial readouts across its portfolio throughout the 26th and 27th. So it will be presenting phase 2 by 3 clinical trial readouts during the period 26 to 27. Now, Merck outlined strong late-stage portfolio momentum with around 80 ongoing phase 3 trials. So it's huge, like 80 ongoing phase 3 trials, and in which more than 20 anticipated launches. So it is going forward for the launches. They will be extending their phase 3 pivotal readouts during the 26 to 27. And BMS, they will going to launch 10 plus products in 2030, and 13 enemies new registral products readouts, and 14 LCM pivotal readouts from 26 onwards. CRISPR Therapeutics is generated 100 million revenue in 2025, and they are expecting more in 2026. And some CAR-T programs they have initiated, or they gave updates on the throughout the 2026. Kivenia is aiming to file its CAR-T space product in first half of 2026. So, and the Argenx, it has achieved a sale of 4.2 billion product in 2025, and uh, aiming more sale or growth around 2030.
so
Yeah.
in a summary, uh, the 2026 is going to be an eventful year. The JPM gave, as always, JPM gave a pretty comprehensive outlook about the whole year. Um, there are multiple companies. Bigger companies will always, have approvals, and a couple of other things. But here we try to talk about major things. Obviously, Wave Life Sciences, Kyverna, they both we discussed in our previous slide. One important another update is CRISPR Therapeutics, which is kind of a pioneer in the CRISPR technology. And their updates were very important. So apart from that, I think UCB is also presenting, and they have given a very comprehensive outlook for the whole year. So we have nothing. Okay, so there is no specific reason why we have chosen these companies. It's just that these were the updates which we felt were breakthrough or were very important for to be shared in terms of highlights. I think we have another page of it, another slide of it. So let's
Yeah.
move on to that one.
So these are the expected late stage readouts. I won't take much long time for on this, but there are multiple readouts expected in the coming years, starting from the 2026, as we see Novartis, Pfizer, Biogen, Xenon, or AstraZeneca. They have mentioned that they are going to present data, phase 3 data in 2026 and in the coming years for their key assets. If we talk about the upcoming approvals for the 2026, which are important, so they we have mentioned some of the dates which were given by the US FDA to the companies for the approvals. So these are the product. If we talk about Regenix Bio product, which will be are expecting to got approval in 2026, 8 Feb of 2026, and then Besenti in 21 Feb 2026, Biomarin products which will be got approval or expected to got approved in 28 Feb 2026, and Replimune will get approved in around 10 April 2026, Nuvalent in 18th September 2026.
So yeah, one important thing to notice here is that if you talk about Novartis, Pfizer, and AstraZeneca, they all are gearing up for a big year. That's the reason we in the previous slide we were talking about that they are gearing up for the big year. Novartis, you can see approximately 17, 18 plus readouts are expected. 15 plus potential submissions and in the next 2 years. Same goes Pfizer. They're planning to initiate 20 plus trials. AstraZeneca planning to have 20 plus phase 3 readouts. So obviously, these readouts, these pivotal studies will result in new molecules, new products coming, and old products coming with new indications. So that's going to, so 2026 is going to be a potentially great or an eventful year. And that's why we have kept, or the team has kept the upcoming approvals also in the in combination with the within this slide. The reason was that we wanted to show those approvals or PDUFA dates which were announced, which have been already announced by the companies at the JPM. So we have not kept any additional ones. These are the ones which were announced by the companies during their presentations at the JPM, basically. So hence the reason of picking only 6 or 7, basically. Otherwise, the whole year is packed. We expect more approvals than last year, or more PDUFA dates than last year. Approval is something which will be dependent on FDA for sure, right? So I think we have JPM. We have done, covered decent JPM highlights. Um, Now, what we are planning to do is in this section of our Insights Corner, me and Prashant are going to talk about connection, a string between the China Biotechs and the JPM. And then before we do that, I also want to emphasize and then explain this that when we talk about this, and I should have done it in the initial part, but I want to talk about it now. We have uh, done from the China to the outside world. The analysis after these slides, the analysis it's not going to see inside the China. It's not going to see inside an MPA and what Chinese biotech companies are doing. What we are trying to in China, what we are trying to look is that what Chinese biotech or China biotechs are doing in the world at the global stage, basically. And that's what we are planning to discuss from now onwards. So over to you, Prashant.
Yeah, sure. So, in that, we have linked China, we have linked JPM with the China. As we mentioned that 24 Chinese companies has presented in JPM 2026. So these are some of the China company highlights which we have mentioned in this slide. So if we talk about the Chinese champions, Hungary Pharmaceuticals talked about the 10 approvals and 20 plus NDA BLA submissions and phase 3 data readouts in 2026. So it will be a big year for the Hungary Pharmaceuticals in the global market, as it is planning huge for this year. And if we talk about the Kellion Biotech, it is an emerging ADC leaders in a China, and now it has 16 ongoing trials globally, which are in phase 3. If we talk about Xylab, so Xylab is planning for the accelerated approval submission for the SCLC treatment in 2027 for its ADC asset. If we talk about the major milestones, so there are some Hengray's molecules readouts expected in 26 and early 27, and Keller Biotech anticipates readouts for for its asset A6166 phase 3 for the treatment of multiple tumors, and Xylab expects its some of the key assets readouts and accelerated approval in 2028. So if we talk about deals and partnerships, the Hungary partnered with the Eli Lilly for the out-licensing, Eli Lilly and Novartis for the out-licensing of for some of its assets. And the most important deal happened during the JPM was Johnson Papillip Biotech, which has signed a global license agreement with the Novartis, in which the upfront payment was $50 million. And if we talk about the key takeaways from the JPM, for the Chinese company. So, as we earlier mentioned, 24 Chinese companies presented, uh, and they have highlighted the mainstream therapeutic areas for the global stages. And if Chinese biopharma firm showcase the robust pipelines in ADCs and multiple therapeutic areas, and if we talk about why global companies shows interest in Chinese companies, so if we talk about in terms of that, so they have a shorter timelines, reduced cost, and expertise in RNAis, oncology therapeutic area, and innovative modalities.
So, Prashant has explained the JPM China highlights or connections, but let me talk about a couple of more things. One very important thing is that we have recently seen an approval, uh, a Chinese innovation from Akeso Biopharma, which had a deal with Summit Therapeutics, and Summit has licensed this molecule. And so it's an approved molecule basically. Now it has gotten approved, which is the molecule name is Evinosquimab basically. It was developed by Kiso Biopharma and licensed in US by Summit Therapeutics. Uh, and these stories, these success stories like this, and then obviously Prashant is going to be talking about those success stories in the later slide. But I am just trying to tell you here is that these success stories like this have shown that China biotech can develop innovative molecules. So China case is a very peculiar case. They started with copying biosimilars, generics. They started with that, and they learned from it, developed their manufacturing, obviously create innovation, funded the innovation from the money what they've earned from it. They funded the innovation, and then now we that's the reason we are seeing that this whole where there's whole system where and then obviously they have gotten funding and support from the government as well. But again, the innovation has been done by them, and they are Chinese biotech are going above and beyond. They are exploring uh, bispecific, they are exploring trispecific, they are even exploring quadraspecific ADCs basically, or sorry, biologics basically. And beyond that, they are innovative in they are innovating in CAR Ts, they are innovating in small molecules. So the idea, I'm not here to advocate about China, but to talk about that. That's the reason why uh, they are they've mastered the art of manufacturing. They have government support. They have good supply chain. They have established their supply chain. They have the raw material for used for pharmaceutical development. Major of the raw material comes from China. So because of that, they have gotten money, time, raw material, and obviously support, and that's the reason they are flourishing. So and there are newer innovations coming out from China. So I think it's a lesson for everyone, I believe, in the biotech that we also think about not just selling, but also about the science and the innovation. Having said that, I think Prashant has covered all of these pretty well. He's spoken about Chinese champions, and these champions are coming, increasing day by day. He has spoken about Hingrui. He's spoken about Kellen, Zai Lab, um, and Ascentage also. But there is also a player who we have not spoken here in this slide, maybe because they did not have many updates. But they are the major play one of the major players, and I think they are one of the pioneers who have mastered the art of developing in China and selling it to the US or to the West basically. That's BG, or now they are called as B1 basically. So yeah, I think I wanted to call out their name because they have done a great innovation and been developing a lot of unique molecules. Moving ahead, we are because we are doing it for the first time. I think we are pretty slow on and then we have taken good decent time. So so Prashant, let's make it a little faster and cover this. Please go
Yeah,
ahead.
sure. So now we will talk about how JPM is invested in China. As JP Morgan presence in China, JPM has been operating in China since 1921 and maintains a fully owned local entity to provide onshore banking and financial service to China biotechs. If we talk about the Access JPM Morgan San Francisco Healthcare Conference, strictly invite only, with Chinese biotech firms gaining access primarily through established relationships with JPM bankers, proven global transaction, and strategic relevance to investor entrance. So there was a key factors include there was publicly listed status or a late stage private firms, proven ex-China milestones like US FDA, EMA approvals, INDs, or prior licensing deals with Western majors, for example, Beijing or Xylab, and engagement with JPM Healthcare Investment Banking Team via prior mandates or coverage by JPM sell side analysts. So, as linking JPM with the China, the most important point was the JPM Morgan was hosting global healthcare at Shanghai conference for over the past 5 years, connecting China with the global healthcare sectors. If we talk about the deep financial ties between the JPM and the China, so there was a 5% disclosure threshold exceeding stakes with the Wuxi or Ekeso, Innovent. With these companies, they have funded in these companies. JPM Morgan was an active funder in these companies.
Okay. So
Yeah,
yeah,
Manshu.
I don't have anything much to add here. Um, so I think it is a very clear signal of connection between JPM China. They have been one of the oldest investors, and they have been, um, you know, betting big on China Biotech for a very long time, and then I think it is paying off to them. So moving ahead, now China Biotech. So I want to take this one up myself. The reason is that this is an important slide, and I want to give a bit more emphasis on it. Uh, so China Biotech presence at JPM. Why? Obviously, in the previous slide, we have already said JPM has been the uh, global investor, sorry, a US investor investing in China for a very long time. Now, JPM, the reason why JPM has given a platform to Chinese companies is because JPM is you know, one of industry's biggest conference. Every year they the first conference, first major conference of the industry. So to give the global recognition, highlighting the shift from the manufacturing to innovation leadership. So which I have said initially, they China Biotech has mastered the art of manufacturing or development or production. Now they are taking a center stage in terms of innovation. Innovative capability. No one is saying that Western biotechs are not or they're not innovating. Obviously, there are newer companies innovating every day, but the number of companies which are coming out of China and number of molecules which are coming out of China is probably is very high, and JPM actually validates the presence of JPM or JP Morgan investing in those company kind of validates that innovation, and that's the reason they're going bigger. Now capital access, obviously, uh, with JPM being the central bank or the investor, uh, they are Chinese biotech companies like Sineuro and Simcera are doing more than $1 billion deals basically with companies like Novartis and FB. Then obviously strategic impact. Now it's a very important point. Uh, Investors like JPM or associated investors who look upon on organizations like JPM to invest. It again, the point is validation only, but it validates the R&D. The Because again, initially China used to be known as the copy paste of the world, or something which you can just copy or mirror make it or something like that. But now I took the example of BGene first. I think to my knowledge, first BTK inhibitor outside US which came out was from BGene and from China. It validated the presence of JPM as an investor or as a partner with BGene, proved the science, made yeah, and establish a credible R&D basically, and then it paid off to BGene. Now they have also, as a banker, they are very JPM organizations like JPM have a good network. They uh, they help companies do deals basically, and they are the mediators or the brokers of those deals. And obviously, working with so big number of biotech companies in the Western world, JPM actually opened the pathway for these Chinese companies, and we are seeing the results that one third of the global out licensing was done. Deals were done from the were China Western deals basically, right? So yeah, I mean this slide is particularly uh, talking about how JPM as a conference or JPM Chase as a bank or an investor has opened pathways for Chinese pharma companies, and what factors actually influenced it, and that is what we are trying to show, that as an organization JPM has been investing for a very long time in China. They have seen the potential for a very long time. They have opened doors for Chinese companies in the US or in the West. And that is something which is a very important point for any other geography specific biotech ecosystem, whether you talk about Indian biotech ecosystem or European or any other undeveloped or underdeveloped biotech system that uh, you know think in these directions basically. So it's kind of an advice also. Now moving ahead, these are particularly few companies who have presented at JPM. These are Chinese companies. We have bucketed them into various based on various therapy areas or technologies. Like for example, cell and gene. Legend Biotech. They have CAR-Ts basically, or chimeric cells basically, and they have a long-standing deal with J&J. Everest Medicines, again, a new, smaller name, but going bigger. Zylab, that was for cell and gene therapy, which who presented at JPM. Now, I mean, you can see this. If it's not just a single space, there are CROs and CDMOs like Voxi, and there are AI drug development companies like Xtype I. Um, there are ADCs and biotech, biospecific companies like Akizo, Hingrui, and Henlius, who are making strides and innovations. So, uh, you talk about a field and Chinese companies are there. The number might seem smaller here because obviously this is non-exhaustive, and we have not included all of them. And but yeah, uh, but it paints a good picture actually for every one of us. Now moving ahead, I'll give it to Prashant to talk about this slide specifically. And yeah, so Prashant, over to you.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Imanshu. So we'll talk about China Biotech's outlook in the global arena. So what is the future of the China Biotech in the global market? So China is basically doing multiple out-licensing deals for like to expand its market in the global market. If we talk about the market disruption, so China is evolving and challenging the establishment in the US market, like Ascentage, as we talk about in the in the China highlights, there are like Ascentage Pharma's key asset, Lisoflotox. It will challenge the existing position of the Ventoclox, which is the world's first BCL2 inhibitor, approved BCL2 inhibitor. And if we talk about the headwinds, navigate geopolitical headwinds, so recently the Biosecure Act was implemented by the US, which was for the foreign companies, especially for the China, to secure their data, biosafety data. So they have blacklisted some of the Chinese companies, and they have stopped collaborating with the China company. So how China is moving forward to overcome this block or to overcome this headwind, we'll talk about in the coming slides. The surge in revenue and the FDA approval. So, if Morgan Stanley Research Products annual revenue from the China originated drugs reaches from $34 billion by 2030. So, yeah. So, Himanshu, do you want to add something in this slide?
Yeah. So, this slides gives an outlook, which I was just talking about when we started this section, that it is a Chinese outlook in the global arena, how they are looking to the global, system. While Prashant was talking, I was just thinking about it was 2011 when the first China molecule got approved. It was um, I wouldn't call it a a generic or a biosimilar. It was more of a modification in the existing molecule, which was Conmana, EGFR tyroskinase inhibitor. It was by Beta Pharmaceutical, and it was the first molecule which was considered as an innovative molecule, um, uh, and got approved in the US. Then the story changed, and I was explaining the story actually changed after BGene, when they developed Brukinsa, the BTK inhibitor basically, and this molecule has, if I'm not wrong, approximately $2.5 billion sales at the moment, or near about that basically. So it shows how from 2011, and then obviously, it started long back. The story started long back. But the first outcome of that story, or the first look of that story, started coming out of in 2020, 2011, and then major breakthrough from 2019 was there. Now, moving ahead, so far what we have covered is what happened at JPM overall. Then we were at a junction point where we try to, show you that how China Biotech and JPM are connected, and why we chose that, we wanted to combine these two topics basically, because JPM is a good platform and a decent platform for Chinese companies. It's start of the year, they are big investors, and then we see that there are a lot of news deals which have happened in and around JPM, for the from between the Western companies and the Chinese companies, and more so, not just about deals, it's also about approvals and a lot of other things. So now we want to, and this section, which is the last section, we want to focus solely on the Chinese biotech companies, and their what they are doing in the global stage. So now no JPM, nothing, just the pure Chinese biotech companies and what all they are doing in the global space. This is going to be something what we are going to talk about. Now, Prashant will start with the success stories. We'll keep it shorter. Maybe you can read about them when you have the access to the slides, basically. Over to you, Prashant.
Okay, thank you, Himanshu. So, how China has rise from domestic to global, as we it has been started very early stages, like in 21st century. But we have mentioned some points in 21st century, China was focused on traditional medicines and generics only. After that, they have implemented multiple plans like 5-year plans or different export or import plans to expand in the global arena. If we talk about the different plans, so during the period of 2016 to 2018, the 13th 5-year plan was incorporated. Sole purpose was for innovation, coordinated development, and openness to the global market. And if we talk about in 2017, in 2017, China was joined ICH platform, through which it has access to the international drug development and registration guidelines or a registration platform. So it was all about 2016 and 2018. If we move forward, in 2019 to 21, China has increased its out licensing deals, and it has incorporated 14th year plan in 2021, which lasts till 2025. If we talk about a major highlight in 2019, so the Wuxi Biologics, which is the first Chinese biological maker company, has received a EMA GMP certification for its molecule, that is ibalizumab, and the company has also highlighted for the world-class facility in 2019. And in 2020, China independently developed a product that is tanzuzumab for HER2 positive breast cancer, and got approval both in China and Europe. So after 21, in the year of 21 to 24, in 2023, three Chinese drugs in US was approved, And in 2024, it has achieved a major milestone. And if we talk about the 2025 year, China has dealt with multiple global companies. That was 93 overseas out licensing deal it got from the global platform, and it incorporated another 5-year plan. And the purpose for that plan is to attract foreign companies to invest in the Chinese biotech and to the outperform from different global companies. So that was all about the rise of the China biotech from its early century to 2025.
Okay, another quick point I would add here in the whole story is that by 2040, it is estimated China is estimated to represent approximately 35% of the US market. But beyond that, uh, there is a chance that uh, actually, if we see the past and predict the future, between 2011 to 2024, the licensing, the China pharmacy licensing deals have increased from $36 billion to $45 billion. So if we see that, there is a huge chance, and obviously we see um, it's going to be, if I see that the if the volume works out, it is going to be more than double in by 2030 or something like that. So moving ahead, uh, now in terms of this is something which I will take up because uh, this is something which I am it's of my interest. We have tried to map the innovation basically from the Chinese companies basically, and what we see here is that there is a huge innovation mapping, right? Uh, some things which are obviously given here, but there are out a couple of other things which I will also talk about. It's that okay. So now talking about the mapping, uh, total breakthrough designation received by Chinese firm between last 5 years. If you see, it started with one in 2019. Obviously, there is always never a trend in terms of breakthrough designations or any designation for that matter. But if you see that the number is always increasing basically, and 2024 was five, and I'm pretty sure 25 would have been, if not more than at least five, I believe that, right? And I saw in terms of out licensing deals, again you were seeing the numbers are going all the trajectory is obviously on the growing side. Uh, we track these deals numbers. Again, these are not exhaustive, but we are pretty sure about these numbers. So now we tracked from 2016, and you can see an upward trajectory of increasing the number. First half of 2025 was already 76 out licensing deals from China, right? So by the end of 2025, it would be way more than what we are thinking about, right? So this slides actually shows how they are accelerating and in terms of the innovation. And also, before I talk about the headwinds, I also want to speak. I was reading through a white paper basically a couple of days back while doing the research for this. I came across a few clinical trials, and again, I don't take the responsibilities of the numbers, but yeah, the numbers look significantly very high. Top 15 locations in terms of clinical trial initiation in 2025. China had 2,951 trials, which is thrice the number of trials being started in the US. In the US, there were 819 trials which got started, and this speaks volume. And these are all oncology trials I'm talking about. Sorry, these are overall trials. And then if we talk about oncology patents, in 2025, um, in 2024, the oncology patent for China was 29% of the overall oncology patent filed across the globe, basically. So the white paper tracked global papers, and 29% of those global papers were Chinese origin, basically, or originated from China. Of which the top universities from China were China Pharmaceutical University, Zhejiang University, Sun Yat-sen University. So these are like the top three ones. Also, while talking about, while we are talking about oncology, let's talk about ADCs also. Again, number of ADC patents filed by any company, any country, was 2,934 patents uh, by China, basically. So it shows the kind of innovation they are trying to do, basically. And the China was followed by Japan. Japan had 2,200 plus patents filed in terms of ADCs, but the sheer volume talks about what all is happening from in terms of China, if I say. Right. Now coming towards China navigating the biotech headwinds. Uh, okay. So Biosecure Act, the purpose is to restrict. I mean, it's highly tailor-made basically for Chinese companies, but again, it's not showing good, a bigger impact. But still, the Biosecure Act, the purpose is to block, foreign companies, specifically China, to access US genome data, basically. Then possible retaliations are there, but we'll not talk about them. Then Europe IPIs, basically. Again, it was uh, a method to block uh, Chinese standard and market access, basically, right? Uh, so China, to counter this, China has its own policies. They have followed, they've come up with couple of plans. Again, I'm not go into a deep dive for the lack of time, but Health China 2030 is one of their plans. It talks about it sets a target for the Chinese companies. Then there is a 15-year-old plan, a 5-year plan, 15th 5-year plan, basically. So this every 5 year they come up with a 5-year plan to continue the innovation. And then there is a health Silk Road. As part of the China's Belt and Road Initiative, which is being followed by the Chinese Silk Road from the history. So they are kind of making a health Silk Road kind of a plan, basically. And these are methods or policies which Chinese government is employing to negate these headwinds. But again, the US and the EU lawmakers are also coming up with newer plans to block, or at least to create hurdles from the Chinese companies. So there were a couple of in last 5 years there were a couple of deal highlights. DNC licensing deals have been very strong. CDMO deals have been very strong. Right. Out licensing deals we have already spoken there. Across the domain, across immunology, metabolic, oncology. So across therapy areas, there are these Chinese biotech companies. Are majorly out licensing to China and sorry, to US and Europe from the China, right? And deal numbers are increasing post COVID. Uh, After COVID, a lot of people thought that China would get blocked, but I think then they are growing bigger after that, basically. So you can read about them when you get the access to the slides, basically. So now, in terms of deal counts, the it's kind of a consistent deal count which is happening since 2021 to 2025, right? And then this data is being collected or taken from Deal Pharma. By stage, if you see, the companies are betting big on the early stages molecule discovery, preclinical. The numbers are higher, and it goes slightly lower on the by the stage increases. Oncology obviously leads the way. Various oncology molecules and you know and now in terms of deal type distribution, development and commercialization, which are basically licensing deals, biggest number. Then contract services, which includes your manufacturing, which includes your services. So that is 21, and which is followed by others may include formation, all those technology transfer, product platform fee, and those kind of deals basically. Couple of bigger deals which I want to talk about or I want to emphasize, which, again, are two big deals basically. Summit and Akiso, which I've already spoken, and then AZ and CSPC deal, which is a recent deal basically. And again, more than $1 billion deal. And there are a couple of other deals also. Now, in terms of deal landscape, uh, what we have done is we have taken top 10 companies, top 10 pharma companies, Western companies, and then seen that how they have done and in what sizes basically these deals, irrespective of what kind of a deal it is. More than $1 billion, Pfizer has done with 3S Bio and Fusion Pharma, whereas a little lesser than $1 billion, which is Highlightel Pharma. And you can see in the undisclosed, you have Akizo, Ascentage, Zylab. There are a couple of names which you will see commonly. Johnson have only done undisclosed deals, which are there. Merck looks like that Merck has been very, very active. Very bigger deals actually have been done. Like I think one, three, five, yeah, five deals which are more than $1 billion, and then so yeah. I think one more, Chico Bio. Chico Bio deal has been recently a highlight with Merck. Uh, and yeah. So again, now the second page, AbbVie, you can see BMS has been also active. They have done good deals in the China. Zylab has been their partner for a decently long time. Lilly just a couple of days revised their deal with Innovent, and that deal is it's a fairly big deal. Immunology, oncology, a lot of molecules. So they are betting big on Innovent. They have one deal which is approximately $1 billion, and there are a couple of smaller deals with Innovent in the undisclosed values also. Right. Then comes your other pharma companies, smaller deals, not big ones. Amgen has a long deal with Buy One or Buy Gene, basically. Regeneron had a recent deal with Hansoh Pharma. So, moving on and talking about IPOs. So we tracked overall fundings, and then we saw that in 2025 there were more than 118 fundings basically, or funding rounds overall, where US European investors were involved, and they have invested in the Chinese companies or the companies of the Chinese origin. So and then obviously that was we have the data with us, right? And so yeah, if anyone wants to access that data, do let us know. You can reach out to us. Now talking about we pick and chose IPO basically. So between 2021 and 2025, there were 14 Chinese companies who went public in the US, right? And there were 13 which are Nasdaq, and one which went through NYSE. And overall, they generated more than $1 billion in terms of the 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 funds basically in the IPO. Right. So HH&L acquisition. This is a company which used SPEC and NYSE to raise the capital, and right, and they raised 414 billion dollars, right. Follow Then we had Graysill. Gracell Biotech is now part of AstraZeneca. It has been acquired by AstraZeneca, but in their initial IPO, they raised $240 million, and at that point of time, uh, they were just a preclinical or IND, basically IND level company, and yeah, I mean, US investors betted big on this company and Zenus Biopharma. So we have picked three big ticket size IPOs. Now talking about why these companies go for IPO in the US. One very important and primary reason is which I feel is the US market access, basically. These biotech companies have US market access, and that's why they choose uh, US or Europe for the fundraising or for the IPOs. The second reason is that China ecosystem is very stringent. They need a lot of to go for an IPO, basically, specifically funding and all, that's good. But for to go in an IPO, Chinese biotech companies or startups face a lot of difficulty. The reason is because they need credible data. You need to be in a later stages, and plus there is a scrutiny or a process of 9 to 12 months. Whereas in the US, this process is way faster. Plus, US companies, US investors uh, are not subjective. They go by the objective rules, basically, and obviously you get high value amount in terms of generating revenue generating IPO in the US, basically, right? Then obviously, as I told you, market access, having access to the US market, because if you have done a US IPO, it leads to a US focused US headquarter, and then when you launch the product, you easily get approval, and you get access to the US market, which is a high value market, basically, right? Then there are other methods of doing IPO, spec, reverse mergers, and a couple of other um, you know uh, methods of doing this. Uh, there are bigger pharma companies also. They do not go for a US IPO, but they are definitely interested. They are mostly interested in the licensing deal at the moment. But yeah, IPO or fundraising is because they do not need funds at the moment, so then hence they do not go for an IPO in US. But US is becoming clearly a bigger choice for the Chinese companies. Now moving ahead, and now this is a dashboard. It talks about patents. So I've previously also spoken about patents, some of the insights which I've shared. But there are a total of from Jan 24 to December 25, within 2 years, we have seen the filing of the Chinese patents. So total number of companies which were involved was 175. Total approximately 312 patents have been filed uh, in the US. Whereas if you compare it with Europe, 86 Chinese companies, 113 patents in EU specifically. The reason beyond the China or beyond the Great Wall, what my team has written, one, access to high value medicine, two, high value oncology and immunology R&D, three, global partnership and licensing opportunities. Um, I mean, filing patent in the US and Europe, building global credibility. Uh, it also solves the domestic constraints. So China market or China NMP or regulators are very constrained, basically, and rule oriented and by the book and a lot of other things. Then strategic expansions are easy. Um, Having US European patents attracts a lot of investment. It helps in the government policies and incentives, something like a Biosecure Act or MFN or other things, basically. And you become best in class and innovation and best in class kind of a thing. right? So Chinese companies mostly focus on the US patent because um, usually even for countering also, US becomes the battleground, and they it has seen that usually the US courts basically see um, US court sees innovators, and they're trying to favor innovators basically. So hence that's one reason, right? And obviously access to the market, and US access makes it easy to get into Europe, to Middle East, and a couple of other places. Now we have tried to look into from China to the West basically. So from in last 5 years, 2021 to 2025, my team has looked into the designations, and which shows the innovation basically is the symbol of innovation. There were 53 ODDs, 31 FDDs, 13 BTD or prime designation, one priority voucher or review or RPTD one. So what does it shows? It shows that in last 5 years, a lot of Chinese companies have shown innovation, have gotten designations, because these designations are usually the signs of innovation or an unmet need where a pharma company is working or trying to address that, which is also something about innovation only, right? So how many company-wise we have shown a distribution? It looks like um, uh, B1 or BG, 11 of the designations basically. Obviously, we have not divided them. Henlius 8, uh, Sim Simsera 7, followed by Jiangxi Bio, and so on and so forth. Mapwell basically. Mapwell is also a decent name in the biosimilars industry as well, right? Uh, so this talks about the innovation, and then now from Shanghai to the west, we have mapped out the designations in terms of and we try to show a landscape basically, and then so yeah. You can see the maximum, obviously, designations have come into oncology, which is visible here very clearly. All right. There are a couple of molecules like toripalimab, three designations, BTD prime, FTD, and uh, then ODD. And within this ODD, they have got more than two ODDs actually. So more than two indications have gotten two ODDs basically. Right. So, and then yeah, this is for EU. There is an EU also. So yeah, I mean, you can see that there are multiple molecules, oncology being the bigger one. But yes, there are neurology and cardiovascular. Autoimmune at the moment seems to be vacant, free, but yeah, again, this is not exhaustive. We have tried to cover not all of them, but the top line one them. Top of them basically. So yeah, that's that. Now this is a landscape. We have tried to map um, Chinese companies' landscape by modalities basically here. So you can see CAR-Ts, Cargen is presently phase two, but there are different CAR-Ts. One is approved, basically Legend Biotech with J&J. Right. Obviously, we have not shown approved ones basically here. Approved ones are not here, but yeah, you can see there. And now, see if you see a very peculiar picture comes out. BG in B1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So all the spaces. If you talk about ADCs, BGN is there, or B1 is there. Bispecific, sorry, ADC it's not there, but bispecific you can see. Maps you can see. Then small molecules, here it is. So if you talk about the innovation, you can see that in phase two and phase three. So there is no lacking in phase three, no lacking in phase two, and then obviously early assets are definitely there. Now moving ahead, and in terms of seeing this, the approval journey basically. We've just mapped out last 4 years, 5 years basically from 21 to 25. But yeah, I mean, the journey has been older than that. 2021, the BTK inhibitor it got Europe B1 Brukinza, but in 2019 it got approved in the US, which I've already spoken about previously multiple times. Then we have Coherus and Jiangxi Bio's toliparamab, which we were discussing in the last slide, basically. Then we have Evive Biotech, and Evive Biotech is a subsidiary of Vifan Pharmaceutical. In the US, they have uh, launched Zinnuta, right, and so on and so forth. Some of the top choices, sorry, some of the major molecules here which are visible and which we all actually know about also. B1 we have already tesilizumab basically, and then we have a tyrosine kinase inhibitor from Hutchmed. Hutchmed is it's still a big known name from China to the world basically. One thing which I want to emphasize here is 2022 is missing because there was no approval in 2022, so we thought of skipping it. Huh. So now, like every other Insights Corner, we have looked into, we try to dig deep into one company. Obviously, covering one company from the China Biotech with everything would have been difficult. So what we thought is we picked a company which has presented at JP Morgan, and we try to cover what they have spoken about um, uh, at JP Morgan basically. So Shanghai Henlius Biotech, they are both they are driven by both biosimilars and innovative biologics, which I have been talking about. Right. Henley's strategic focus is globalization. I mean, they have named it Globalization 2.0 strategy, which focuses on transition from biosimilars to the innovative medicine by 2030. So not only they are developing a lot of biosimilars, but they are also making a lot of innovative molecules. In our previous slides, also you can see Henlius. I just saw the name. Henlius. Serplulimab basically, which is again a PD-1 in partnership with Accord. It's an Hurlis originator molecule basically, right? And then similarly, there are other molecules which are Henlius's originator molecules which are in the clinical stages basically, right? So in terms of R&D highlight. It's obviously a lead molecule being, in China, they are expecting approval in the perioperative, like at the adjuvant line, basically, gastric cancer. Whereas in the US, they have already filed for they've already planning to file for the SCLC, right? And then it's one of the major competitors in the SCLC space. Now, Helios is in terms of pipeline, HLX22, which is a HER2 monoclonal antibody. The phase 2 data readout is expected in quarter two, right? And in China specifically. But again, PDL1 ADC, HLX43, innovative molecule, I believe. Uh, Global pivotal study in non-squamous NSCLC, second line, more than third line squamous NSCLC, and second line squamous NSCLC. They're starting three studies basically, right? In terms of milestone, and similarly, they are initiating two POCs, proof of concept studies in breast cancer. Basically, one is HER2 positive breast cancers and in TNBC, and then this is expected to happen in 2024. Sorry, Q4 of 2026 by then, right. And similarly, HLX 07 EGFR monoclonal antibody pivotal phase 2 trial in CSCC, basically cutaneous squamous carcinomas, basically, and yeah, first line squamous NSCLC study. So there is great to look at. They have 10 biosimilars, I think, planned, and then they are looking for a double-digit growth. They have R&D platform for immuno-oncology, basically, and yeah, so more than 40 IND next 5 years, which is a exceptional thing, basically, to talk about. That's about it. But additionally, I would also like to talk about some Chinese companies who are um, uh, key pipeline holders or have a technology. So in terms of CAR-Ts, some prominent names, if I talk about Legend, Cargen, then we have Remigen, right? And that is there. And there are multiple companies, bigger companies who have acquired or licensed these CAR-Ts from the Chinese companies. And then that is J&J, Pfizer, Novartis, BMS, Astra, and Kite, right? And the CAR-T market is expected to grow. And then again, we are talking about the US market, basically, is expected to grow to $21.8 billion, and China or Chinese biotech are emerging out to be the global game changers. And there are a few players who are technology and platform providers. Akiso Bio is one of them. Vuxi Biologics is getting into this space. Eskem is also here. If they are like Eskem, if I'm not wrong, they have a payload linker platform, basically, right? Talking about other companies like bi-specific companies, then again, there are in the upstream process in terms of discovery and engineering, there are companies like again Akiso, Vuxi, and Leeds Biolab. But in terms of companies who are developing, these bi-specific are Innovent, one of them, Remigene, another big name, Henlius, we are seeing already. We are talking about Henlius. Then a couple of other smaller biotechs. If I talk about Duality, is one of those players, basically. MNCs or bigger pharma companies who are investing, Amgen, MSD, BMS, Sanofi, AbbVie, these are like the major players who are investing in this. And there are investment institutions like Hill House, Greenwood, and all that who are investing in this Chinese space. Now, so we have spoken about biologics as such at the moment, but there are smaller nucleic acid drug companies like siRNA companies. So at the moment, if my knowledge serves me right, there are more than 50 siRNA companies who originated from China and are exploring at the global level, right? Some of them is Jian Janssen. So Jian and Janssen will together they are working, right? In siRNA. Then there is Cernomics is another company. Switch Therapeutics, Sirius, and Innovias. These are companies who are developing siRNAs. Then there are companies like Arthex Biotech. They are developing miRNA molecules. Then we have a unique saRNA, which is Mina Therapeutics, which is developing in um, that space. Then we have Raptogen Therapeutics, who is also developing an saRNA. Then we have our antisense oligonucleotides. Again, it's a big list, but a few of the names which I can think about is one, if I'm not Dynacure, Quarellis. Quarellis is actually one of our partner companies, PharmaShots. They have actually recently interviewed Quarellis also. And then there is Runa Therapeutics, who is also developing antisense oligonucleotides, basically. So this is something what we have created, or we worked on it. Um, So if you are interested to talk about deals data, to talk about you want to track Chinese companies investing, or developing solutions or products in the US space for your specific indications, or if you are a Chinese company, you want global intelligence, we'll be more than happy to do that. Um, if you are a Chinese pharma companies, multiple assets, and you want to prioritize these assets. We have been working with asset prioritization in terms of asset prioritization for a very long time, and then good decent amount of knowledge. Chinese biotech companies who wants to invest in US, and then you have a little later stage molecule, you want to do market research, understand the market dynamics, talk to KOLs. We're the team for you. We are the people for you, basically. So yeah, if you're looking for any kind of intelligence, whether it is competitor or market, or a data-driven intelligence, we'll be more than happy to support your team. Uh, okay, so thank you so much, and this is me and BD manager Rakesh, and we'll be more than happy to discuss it over the call if a need arises. Thank you so much. Have a good day. I hope this analysis has found you have found insights in this analysis. And thank you so much for appreciating us, for and encouraging us for these insights corners. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye bye.